Hello, good morning, good morning. Welcome back, guys. We got a FOMC rate cuts yesterday. As anticipated, you know, price to move up bullish, but it's quite interesting. I haven't actually looked at the daily, the previous daily. Seems like we closed bearish over here. Wow, we actually closed bearish. What happened? The weird thing is, like, it's moving up today. We're up like 0.90% right now, but it's not moving as clean. It's not burning as clean. This fuel is not burning as clean as we would typically like expect from these types of events. Like, it's still moving, but it's a bit odd as well for it to range right now. We're kind of like in a weird range here from 39.46 up towards what is that, like 39.82. It's a weird little sideways move. It could just be accumulating for a bigger move, to be honest. But the Asia session looks like it performed quite well. Nice little push up over here during Asia. And we've got like a nice little shotgun play right here. Candlestick close above resistance. Continue filling up this range towards this next resistance. I would say like the people who got in early after the USD rate cuts were the ones who really caught the clean volume. All right, you got a nice little inverted right here. Inverted head and shoulders. Nice little SMA confluence, SMA crossover to fill this range. But I would definitely say the buys are still a lot more safe than going for sells at this point. We also got a breaking above some kind of a resistance here. by 39.63. Small range. If we can break above this zone, we got like what is that, 34 pips. And back in 2021, a whole range like this would be like 34 pips. But now this is 150 pips. It's pretty small range to based off of like what we see with gold being able to do. Yeah, it's kind of choppy over there. It's a small range. And we also got a support that's been formed. On the 1 minute. Got like Goldie's kind of rejecting this zone over here. It's got like multiple rejection wicks. This biofuel is not burning clean. I think it definitely needs to open up a bit more. Like if we get more candlesticks. Maybe do something like this. Get like a pullback. Start spreading out a bit more. And then get some really nice entry confirmations. Something of the sort like that. And then to fill up that range. Similar thing to what happened back over here during Asia time. See, they got the clean price action. They got clean PA. Candlesticks calmed down. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty nice. V-shaped reversal over here. Broke above resistance and then moved up. What London is getting is not clean PA. What you're getting here is a lot of choppiness. A lot of wicks that are starting to form. Close by resistances. You got resistance here. You got resistance here. You don't really want to be looking for sells either. So you're not looking at sells at the same time. If price breaks below here. The range is also not the greatest below that zone. That's going to be about like, 62 pips. Got some speed bumps. See that volatility? How it's breaking above wicks and then pulling down like this. I would say there's a bit of like indecision in the market. Needs a spray of pump. Yep. Pump it up. On the 1 minute good there was a confluence there, was not on the chart. Yeah, if you look at this PA over here, you see a majority of it is just moving sideways. And then the trickle is not the greatest. Like it's trickling a lot. Even when it moves down, it's kind of like... Yeah, it just doesn't seem like very clean distributions. What happened with FOMC? Let's actually see what happened here. Didn't we get the rate cuts? What is this? I haven't even looked at the chart like properly. Price came down. It's kind of weird. But it's not like it was not expected. Like that was definitely a probability. With the way gold had been selling off from those highs, we saw that profit taking. If you go on the daily time frame, we saw really big pushes. That also in the video that we made, we said not to be surprised really if you see gold sell off. Continue selling off even with the FOMC, just based off the amount of profit taking that's happening towards the end of the year over here. So that was always been at the back of my head. Like we've been seeing a lot of selling pressure in the market of late. And it just, like, would it just disappear? That was a question. Would all that just disappear? Because it felt like it was moving with a lot of conviction. So it looks like FOMC came out. We got a bit of whiplash. And then eventually price tumbled down. Boom, boom, boom. Then today we were looking for a continuation. Because we did get the rate cuts, correct? We should have seen a very clean continuation. But that's not the case. For a Thursday. Yeah, we're already on Thursday candle over here. So I was actually thinking maybe, the Wednesday, if anything, could close bullish. And then Thursday would just keep ripping up. Maybe it's opposite. Maybe we get Thursday close bullish and then Friday keeps ripping up. But we're going to see what happens over here. The good thing is if we do decide to start moving up, then I think momentum will start building a bit more, and maybe into next week we can also anticipate some continuations here on the daily, even up towards like 43.56, 41.26. I was in, I know why. What's that? The speech. Why the speech? He was talking about the economy is becoming better, investment, and also inflation. I made one trade 0.02 for fun, did 30 bucks. Oh wow. With the 2 cent lot. No, just 0.02 lot. Holy. Yeah, he did also mention that for December it's not completely out of the question to get the rate cuts too. But yeah, obviously Powell doesn't want to cut rates, so he must have said some other things there. Gold likely to find solid support at weekly Ichimoku cloud baseline. Oh, first time I'm hearing of Ichimoku cloud here. Gonna find a solid support at the weekly Ichimoku cloud. 37.51. There may be scope for it to pull back further. It's worth noting that gold has stayed above the weekly baseline since rising above it in late 2023. Okay. Yeah, I remember like trying to learn this Ichimoku cloud thing. At the time I was strategy hopping, you know, I was just basically going through everything, but the Ichimoku clouds, they didn't really stick with me. It just seemed a little bit too much. Trump announced a 1-year agreement with China on rare earth. Oh, and we also got this happening here. Trump had an agreement with China on rare earth and critical minerals, and half fentanyl tariffs to 10%. In a deal under which Beijing would cap fentanyl production and resume purchases of US soybeans and other farm goods. But you know that fentanyl crisis in America is said to be massively driven by China. So it's quite interesting that what is this? And half fentanyl tariffs to 10%. You know, it's quite interesting what's going on here. However, China has yet to comment, limiting further gains. Fed Powell downplayed the likelihood of another rate cut in December. Downplayed another rate cut, you see, after Wednesday's expected quarter-point reduction, citing divisions amongst policymakers and limited federal data amid government shutdown. Oh, we had the government shutdown. That's true. Maybe that also was causing like a bit of uncertainty. Markets now assign less than 70% chance of another cut this year, down from a near full expectations before the FOMC decision. Yeah, we're going to have a look at that. Still, gold remains on track for monthly gain and is up about 50% on the year. Hope that clears out any sort of confusion now about maybe why gold is acting the way it's acting. Now let's go on the Federal Reserve website and see, should be at 70% now. Yeah, we got December here at 70.4%, dropped from 99%. Okay. So yeah, I guess this is going to be interesting now. As hopefully the US government here can open up again before the next FOMC. Yeah, a pretty good month here. I think I got how many more days? We got just one more day till the month ends. Till October comes to an end. Tomorrow will be a freaky Friday because it's also Halloween. So we're gonna get more freakiness tomorrow. Gonna have a Halloween. And no, I don't think Halloween is gonna be a public holiday here. Tomorrow we have GDP for the Canadian dollar, and that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. That's it. They're gonna start a new month over here. Oh, we're gonna start November. What do we got in November? November, we have daylight savings. So that's gonna start for the USD on Sunday. So I assume that means the New York session is gonna be pushed an hour ahead as well. So if you trade NY, you gotta watch out for this. Next week, the New York session is gonna open up later. What else we got? What else? Yeah, the classic ADP NFP, but with the government shutdowns, I don't think we're gonna get ADP NFP. Most likely not. Even with this confusion, I still think like, you know, a gold buy would still be safer, but you just gotta be careful about pullbacks. It seems that there could be quite a few pullbacks here. This is similar to my Discord buy it took. See, consolidation, seller exhaustion, confluence, seller exhaustion, got rejection zone, bias bullish. Yeah, I was seeing that too. I was seeing like a little bit of a fake out that happened below support over here that ripped up. See, that's why it's like, I still think the buys would be safer. It was pretty like zero drawdown on this break too. I use that as confluence. It's like also breaking right here, it seems. Creating a little inversion, like inverted head and shoulders. Continue moving up. But the bias definitely remains bullish. We're still up right now, 0.95%. It's quite strong. It's actually crazy that the daily flipped yesterday. Because, you know, we're looking at 40.50. But it looks like that was the top when we ended the stream over there. I think that was the top, and then price started reflipping there back on the daily to close bearish. Insane amount of volume. Tomorrow is Halloween. Yeah, I watched a nice Stephen King movie yesterday in the spirits of Halloween, but it was not like a horror movie. It's called The Long Walk. Pretty damn good. Literally, just walking on a road. Based off some old Stephen King novels. And it's like if you get tired and you sit down or you stop walking at a certain speed, you get shot after 3 warnings. Insane. And last guy standing has like a really big prize money. But I don't want to spoil it. I got like nice clean range here on the 15. Up towards this next resistance. 15 looks clean. 30-minute looks clean. But you got to know that you're trading in a range, right? So when you're trading in a range, you're also not super surprised by the kind of results that you're going to get. You know, if you look at the 1 hour time frame right now, it's just barcoding. Back to back, back to back. Break above resistance over here. Then you got like a nice little clean range. Again, up towards like, you know, 4,000. I think that 4,000 could actually be the target. We haven't yet hit 4,000 today. 4,000 is around 331 pips away. So I reckon that's going to be like the psychological mark for the day. Yeah, let's see. Let's see over here. From here to here. Yeah, I could hit 4K. It's well within reach. Well within reach. I think like with gold, it just needs to break out. $4,000 again. Yeah, it looks like we are playing around 4K. 4K is the mark. Now the question is, can this monthly candlestick here take 4K? You know, because it's also psychological level. Are the sellers going to take 4K or are the buyers going to take 4K? I think this could switch up. It could still switch up today quite fast, just like we saw it switch up yesterday. But you see that accumulation? Man, I really believe it's trying to accumulate here to take the 4K. You know, because in the grand scheme of things, it makes more sense that price on gold goes up. Okay, so we got Trump and China, you know, they're all buddy now. But, you know, in terms of the rate cuts, I feel like, and just the general economy, I feel like price should go up. Because there's always some kind of uncertainty, you know. We still got the the political wars going on. Gaza, Russia, Ukraine. So, yeah, we're going to wait and see. Gold futures trade on top self-funded. Oh, you got this buy over here. Buy at support. You got like a John Wick entry. Buys at support. And then for price to move up. See, because like this is the range. Entry confirmations at the bottom of the range. To fill up. Back to the top. You see at the top over here, you got some John Wicks coming again. Short-term sells before I tried breakthrough. But overall price doesn't seem like it went anywhere. I actually thought price would start skyrocketing when we saw this 5-minute candle over here. Look at that beautiful kiss of death that we had. Yeah, this should have been the continuation. So like pre-London volume all the way to 4,000. That should have been it right there. And then it just came back down and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, it looks like we got low volume here today. Because, you know, we were consolidating a lot here in the beginning. So it's like, okay, you know, I gave it a shot here. Pretty good. And then it started consolidating a bit more. Then I'm like, okay, this is a bit strange. Then volume came in. Then I'm like, okay, maybe we start moving up again. Then when it started coming back down, I was like, all right, I see what's going on here. Still needs to... It's probably just breaking into a bigger range. From here to here. Do I use Discord or WAP? WAP. I mean, sorry, Discord. Discord and WAP. But I don't live stream on WAP. King Trump resparking nuclear equals gold up. Oh, I like to see it. I like to see at least gold move up. Can you explain how CPI in the upcoming first week of November will affect gold and US 30? Well, you know, like with the government shutdown, we're not even getting those numbers. So, you know, what difference does it make if we're going to do that analysis there? We're not even getting these numbers, right? Are we? Are we getting numbers? Let's see. USD. But even if we get the numbers, isn't it cause the government shutdown is going to create some still kind of confusion? Because there's kind of like kind of muddy. It's kind of muddy when the numbers come out. Because with the US government shutdown, the data hasn't been gathered efficiently enough to actually like have a good conclusion on them. Reason being why we're getting it, we haven't got an NFP for the whole month over here. And you know, Let me see. This is today. We got CAD. When is that CPI anyway? That's what? That's in the new week, the first week. Man, we're gonna get there when we get there. We're gonna cross that bridge when the time comes. I don't like to speculate on markets like so far in advance like that, because things can always change on the market. You know, it's like from one day to the next. You know, something changes, and you know, then what are you gonna do? Going to try to hold the next trade. We will see. I'm cutting them all short. My average holding is 1 to 2 minutes. Last 4 trades. Yeah, the problem with these conditions is you're gonna hold a runner, but price will come to retest your break even most likely and like trickle. It might even still respect, but you're gonna have to see a pretty good move, come back into break even, and then to maybe continue going upwards. It's kind of tricky. How much does this push from here to here? About like 49, 50 pips from that wick. 3 weeks of data released within 1 minute. Good luck, retailers. Yeah, Godspeed. Godspeed. Because most of the time you're gonna get these numbers come out anyway during the New York session, so you know you gotta be very careful this month. Like if we get the government shutdown finally end, and then like numbers are properly coming out again, that's all gonna be happening there during the New York session time. So we're good. I'm good. A London session. That was pretty nice. By the time New York opens, I'm not even on the chart. So what should be on Saturday when we can't trade? That's the thing, man. That is the thing. There's something really building up here towards the end of the year. It's like a stalemate almost, you know? It's like a stalemate. But as long as a gold moves, man, I don't care. I give 2 shits, because you know, for me, I don't try to figure out the market. I'm not trying to make the numbers make sense and that sort of thing. I'm just trading if it's like a good volume and I kind of got to know an idea of why price is behaving the way it's behaving, then you know, that's it. I don't have to predict anything. You know, like situation like this, if it just ranges like this and we know why, you know, like perfect. But you know, you can't change anything about this. No matter how bad you want to do, let's say a challenge, for example, or do like account flips or whatever, you cannot push the market. You know, if the market is ranging, there's nothing that you're going to do. There's no amount of analysis and CTO data that you can find that's going to change the current condition of the market. So, you know, you guys got to take it like day by day. As candlesticks start to open up and you're like, okay, you know, my job today is how can I survive in this environment? That's the only job that you have to say to yourself is, if I know this is happening because of XYZ, what can I do that's going to be the best decision for me here today? Is it to continue with that funded challenge? Is it maybe to call it a day? You know, is it maybe to just wait for it to open up? Like, what's the best possible decision that you can make here today, given the cards that you've been dealt on the table? Because you don't have to play like the cards are the same all the time, you know, because the cards are not the same. The cards don't remain the same. They're always going to change. So you just got to, like, you know, think about it more critically. And hey, if you feel like, you know, you don't like the cards that you've been dealt, you just like sit on your hands. You know, play the safe game. Wait until the deck gets hot again to when you can have a higher probability of winning, correct? And when can you have a higher probability of winning? Maybe if price was to start to break above 39.78 over here. But yeah, then you'd still have to see how candles approach that level. Like, are we still approaching it with a lot of choppiness, or can you notice that the market is starting to have some volume inside of it? You know what I mean? Is it moving like this? Have you sensed some kind of momentum where candles can be moving like this? Or is it still going to be trickling up towards that resistance? think it's quite important. Any good signals? At this point, you could get a signal, but you're gonna have a pullbacks. On top step, you can set a personal lockout. So it says, so after I took my trade this morning, I clicked the lockout button for the rest of the day, so I'm not able to place another trade. This really helps with the temptation of the trade to overtrade. Oh yeah, okay. Personal lockout. So how are you gonna get back in? Let's say if it's an emergency. There's got to be like an exit hatch somewhere there. But you know, again, with the exit hatch, the problem is that you're gonna use the exit hatch. That exit hatch, you're gonna know where it is and you're gonna use it. Emergency trade. Well, it's locked out for 13 hours, so I can't place another trade today. Oh. Nah, that lockout is perfect. If you're flat and you know yourself to do shit eventually, this eases your mind a lot. Okay. Let's see over here. You see, it says it's locked out. 13 hours, 11 minutes, and 19 seconds. Holy. Yeah, I think some people need this. And some people, they can't control themselves, you know. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy though? It's crazy to have a problem. Okay, you know, one thing I've never understood so much is because I don't have an addictive personality. You know, some people have like addictive personality. Some people are addicted to certain things. And I've always wondered, like, how does it feel to be... Okay, you might say you're addicted in other ways, but... And yeah, I don't really got an addictive personality. So I always look at people with addictive personalities and I'm like, damn, like... The idea of not being able to control a habit is wild to me. You know? Like a very obvious one. Because everybody has some kind of addiction, right? But like I'm talking about these very obvious ones. Like, oh, you know, I overtrade, or, you know, I smoke a lot of cigarettes, I want to quit. Or maybe I drink a lot. Never understood that. Maybe I eat a lot. And you want to cut it out of your life. And all you got to do is just stop. You know, kind of quit cold turkey. I actually got the idea from Atomic Habits. Oh, Atomic Habits. Yeah, that's a good book. That's a really good book. What do they say? Like, it takes about 3 months to build a habit. You gotta fight that urge every day. Oh man, especially in an environment where every day that you have to be in and you have to survive, you know, a situation like this, you're gonna come into the charts, you're gonna see this, and that gut feeling is telling you, this is not the best trading condition. Like, I can find better trading conditions more in my favor. And then, you know, that devil comes in and says, oh, but you know, maybe just one trade. Maybe we can get away with just this one trade over here. It looks quite decent. Take the trade and then it doesn't play out. And then it's like a vicious repeating cycle. Over and over and over again. But you have to find the strength. Internally, the strength is in you. It's not in these softwares. These softwares are just masking the problem. That's all that you're doing. You're not solving anything. You're just hiding and masking a problem. Because, you know, the idea behind the trading and building character is, if you are able to take control of this and say that, okay, you know, I can control the urge to overtrade then that develops your character. But when you put like a mask over it, you're just like putting a temporary solution over there. So there's no growth, you know? So it's especially for something that you can control. Very simply, just by creating a set of rules for yourself and then sticking with them. You can control that. The power is in you. You don't need anything. You just have to find like maybe another outlet. So if you're overtrading that real account, then get yourself like a demo account or get good at paper trading, or, you know, at the same time you can replace that bad habit with a good habit, you know? So instead of just locking yourself out, you can say, okay, you know, this time I'm going to backtest, or maybe this time I'm going to paper trade. And when you paper trade, you can also kind of like trick your mind a bit, or try to trick your mind to believing it's an actual trade. It's not as easy as when you actually take a trade, but that's how I learned. That's how I did it. Because I knew like you had to be on the charts to get better. So locking yourself out is not a solution, because you still want to learn. You know, there's something in you that's like, the reason you're also overtrading is because you want to learn. Because when you take a position, you feel like you're learning from those trades. So that can hold you back, because then you don't do anything. But for the rest of the day, you could still be doing something, but just something that's not going to be detrimental to that progress you're trying to actually make on an account. But anyway, to each their own. I still paper trade till this day. Yeah, you know, paper trading. Let's see. James Clear talks about putting processes to avoid temptation. Oh, that's a lockout for you. Yeah. Grown my account from $18 to $82. Then today lost a trade, and revenge trading puts my account in the pits. Ooh. Yeah, that's a result you're always going to get, revenge trading. It never goes well when you revenge trade, does it? It rarely goes well. So the idea is like, if you take a trade now and you lose that trade and you revenge trade, just the fact that the market is moving sideways like this, it's going to be basically you're playing a very difficult game, because there's a higher probability the market's going to win in this arena over here. So when you revenge trade, it's like you're fighting a fight that you can't win. So you got to find like, you know, a different approach, because the answer is not always to go through the wall. You can find ways to go around the wall. I needed that lockout yesterday, lost 2 Gs. Yeah, it's not good. I don't like those processes. I feel like they make people weak, because when I was trading, I did not have any lockouts. Those lockouts didn't start, and it's also a bit of a trend, I feel. Like, I feel like some influencers use those lockouts, and, you know, Trade Locker is, you know, quite popular now, so it becomes like a kind of like a trend. But just because people are saying and they're using it and they're saying it's helping them, it doesn't give you strength. You know, when you look at trading, you have to look at it from an organic perspective. Do you think all those people who traded the pits back in the days, all those successful traders, all had these lockouts? Man, a lockout is just something that was invented the other day. People in the pits didn't have lockouts. They had to organically control themselves. They had to be actually dealing with whatever problems they had when it came to, like, you know, revenge trading, over trading, you know, all of this stuff nowadays. I think, you know, pretty good tools. And that's all that it is. It's a tool. It's a tool. Maybe you're going to use this tool for a bit, and then after a while, you got to get rid of those tools. Because, you know, when God put you on this planet, he didn't put you with a lockout app. You know, he didn't put you on the planet with all these complications. You know, God's already given you all the tools that you need. You don't need anything extra. All that extra stuff is just slowing you down, in my opinion. Because there's nothing better than self-control. Like, trust me, if you don't have self-control, then you can't do anything. You know, the only thing you can control in this world is your mind, because, you know, at any point your body, you know, your heart could stop beating at any point. You have no control over that. The only thing you have control that God gave you is your free will, is your mind. That's the only thing. So you gotta like leverage that. So you gotta find ways that how can you take back that control? Because what happens is along the way, we give that control away, and then we have to work on getting that control back. You know, because we don't know we're giving it, like with all these years, certain habits that we've been creating for ourselves, slowly giving away our control, you know. So at some point you gotta realize like, shit, I need to get control back of my life. And it happens to a lot of us because, you know, like life happens and things move so quickly that we kind of forget that we actually have the power to move the needle. So you don't need anything else. You can move the needle. You've done it before. You've had days you've taken 1 or 2 trades and you said, hey, you know, I'm done for the day. So that's already proof to you that you've proven to yourself that you can move the needle. But yeah, let's see what's going on here. Gold demand climbs as investors seek safe havens. Heightened geopolitical tensions, stubborn inflationary pressures, and uncertainty around global trade policy have all fueled appetite for safe haven assets as investors look to build resilience in their portfolios. The outlook for gold remains optimistic as continued US dollar weakness, lower interest rate expectations, and threat of stagflation could further propel investment demand. Yeah, man, gold's a bit in a pickle right now. Self-control is overrated in my opinion. Environment matters more. Well, you know, think about it this way. Imagine all the people, if environment matters more, then if you look at people like Martin Luther King, for example, you know, he didn't grow up in the best environment. And there's a lot of people, you know, are in really shitty environments. But because of their self-control, they're able to get themselves out of those environments. So self-control is not overrated. Environment is, you know, like when someone's got a good environment, like, you know, some of these gurus that you watch, they have rich families. You just don't know that. Some of them, like, you might think they're making their money from trading, but the fact is their environment, since it's been so easy for them, they have like all these luxuries, you know. So also at the same time, that doesn't give them like a good self-control, you know. It doesn't build character. So it's like their ability to grow is lower because they don't have to work as hard. So I think even a hard environment, that's what you need. That's what you need. You need to be like a diamond. You know, a diamond is made under pressure. So the more pressure you have, the better you're going to come out on the other side. That builds character. You know, that's why for me, I think the worst thing in trading is when you're going to have something, let's say, do the trading for you, or what else? Or like if you get lucky, you know, if you get lucky in the beginning, it's not building character. You're just lucky, right? You're just getting away with a few things here and there. As opposed to somebody like me, man, I never got beginner's luck. I've never even dreamt of passing a challenge in my first year of trading. Because right off the bat, I used to lose back to back to back to back to back. And just the fact that I never even had that beginner's luck, I've always been cynical in the markets. I've always been thinking of the worst case scenario. And what that meant is I never did dump shit trades. You know, I knew if I could lose $100, I could lose $500. So there's no point for me to try and look for like some kind of an easy route out. And that keeps you motivated. Keeps you going. A lot of the time people get discouraged in trading is because they get into this thing called trading debt. You know, trading debt is the worst debt that you want to have. Because some people are going to say, okay, you know, I got like a 6-month savings over here. And I want to focus on trading. But now the problem is when you start using that emergency fund to fund your trading, man, then you're going to have like a really big problem. So it's very easy to get into trader's debt. That's why self-control, planning, all these things super important. Why is my bias bullish? Because the daily is bullish. We're up right now 1.10%. I don't doubt the importance of self-control, but it's a finite resource. You know what's an infinite resource? Is the anger that you have inside to get better. That's an infinite resource. That thing is gonna drive you. You know, that's the resource that has had people like Genghis Khan take over like huge parts of the world back in the days. That's a resource that has been around since before the internet existed. That's an infinite resource that's within you. That's how kingdoms are built. You know, it's just like we're a lot more modernized as human beings. So nowadays we have a lot of like these new theories and all of these things. But, you know, like it's been there. It's been done by great people like ever since the dawn of humanity. It's an infinite resource. Always trying to get better every day. That 1% climb. That last push, climbing Mount Everest. You think you're done. You think your body is done, but you still have mental capacity to finish that climb. You know, if you look at the people who try and climb Mount Everest, at some point they're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is getting too hard, because you get to a point where your body is slowly dying. You know, because you're so high up that you're actually dying by the second. But then you find that strength in you that makes you finish the climb. And you never think you have it in you until your brain taps into this mysterious infinite source, which you are an infinite source because you're a reflection of the universe, and that will keep you going. And you'll be amazed by how much that your mind can push and your body will follow. Yeah, 100% train my colleagues to ask me, are you angry? So every day I remind myself I'm not happy while I'm in the wage cage. Yeah, you kind of got to be angry about the world to become a trader. My first ever mentor, Anton Krill, said this. To say you got to be a bit cynical and a bit angry at the world to become a good trader, because when you're trading, people are out there to get your money. You know, and if you look at someone like Trump, you know what Trump said recently the other day? It's like running a democracy and running a business, they're two different things. Because in business, it's like you want to tear their hearts out. You know, this is what he said. And with a democracy, you always got to be kind of like on a level playing field. So he was giving this speech. And it's the truth. To become a good entrepreneur, to become a good businessman, do you think you need a lockout? Do you think Trump got a lockout? Where is that infinite resource that he gets his you know, his Trumpness from? Where does that come from? It doesn't come from an app. It doesn't come from a book. It comes from within. So you just got to see, like, where can we take back control? If today is the day to not trade, just don't do it. Because you fall back, like quickly back into those bad habits if you don't deal with them head on. It happens to a lot of people who relapse on, let's say if you got like an alcohol problem and you're just kind of masking it with something and not really approaching it head on. It can come back to bite you in the ass. But hey, you know what? Again, to each their own. Like in my Everest looks, in your mind, Everest looks like light work. As sure, the mind can push you so far, the body, you only notice you broke something after you've done what you set your mind to do after. Yeah, that's why I'm like, even though I love that movie, like I was watching the movie, I told you guys, The Long Walk. And I was watching that movie, I was like, man, these guys are literally walking like 300 miles, you know, at a certain consistent pace. And I was just thinking, like, if I was going to do this in real life, what kind of mental strength do you need? Because, you know, there's one part in the movie where I think they were on mile 200. Oh, no. It was, I think it was the first night. It was the first night and they had to sleep. You know, they're still walking, but they had to sleep. So the guy's like, he fell asleep and he started dreaming about his mom and all these things. And then he woke up and he was with his buddy over there. And he was like, man, isn't it crazy how you can actually just keep walking and sleep? And the guy, he was talking to his buddy and he was like, man, I was actually dreaming. And his body was still walking. And you know, the whole idea behind that movie is the power of the mind. Because, you know, in the beginning, what happened is some of these guys formed like friends. Like they became friends because they knew they needed like a friendship and people to talk to keep them going. Then there was this one other guy who was being an asshole. He was the guy who was making fun of people. You know, he was the guy who thought like he's gonna win the race and everything. Man, they got to like mile 200 and that guy started losing his mind. You know, he had no longer self-control because he did not have the support system, and he was also going in a very negative route, you know, so he ended up like killing himself. But it just shows you, like, you know, that critical thinking of planning ahead of things, of how you're gonna approach this certain challenge, you know, with zero tools but just what God has given you. Is, you know, that's the interesting thing about that, those types of scenarios. You should have seen how angry I got the other day when I saw SVG cruising around on Wednesday lunchtime. Yeah, well, you know, like with the anger thing, you just have to obviously find a way to harness that so it doesn't become like a negative, it doesn't become a negative energy. Because if you're gonna start hating the world and hating where you currently are because you're not where you want to be, that can also put you on a very negative frequency. So I would say, like, definitely like appreciate that stuff, look at that stuff as motivation, but don't let it like drive you angrily in a negative way. You know, you got to find a way where you're going to put that energy towards, where that's going to be like starting a business, trading, and just let that fuel that drive. But outside of that, obviously, you know, you shouldn't let it consume you, because it can consume you and then it becomes a negative energy source. But yeah, you see, like the guy from Billions, how Axelrod does it. He has his hedge fund. He has a hedge fund and he puts all his anger in his work. Like that's where he puts it, so he can become the best possible hedge fund owner, in a sense. Yeah, entrepreneurship is cutthroat. You are dealing with people who are going to want to take advantage of you. That's what it is. That's what trading is. That's what entrepreneurship is. So you got to be a real shark. Now, if you see those people at Shark Tank, if you watch Shark Tank and how those people try and take huge chunks from people's businesses, you know, like 30%, and then they say, oh, you know, I'm going to have to do all the work, etc., etc. Man, that's what it is. It's cutthroat. No one ever leaves a negotiation happy. So, you know, it's going to be like a myth if you think you're going to leave negotiation happy. Because, you know, the thing is, if you know you're not supposed to trade right now and price moves, obviously, you know, you're not going to be happy about that. But that was the best business deal that you could have made today, was to not touch the chart. But if it moves, you know, it moves, it is what it is. If your trade sets up and then it plays out, it is what it is. Just got to keep on swimming. Take it day by day. Try not to crash out. Let's see, James K. Why willpower is overrated? Bad habits win. Oh, but habits win. Yeah, no, like having good habits is quite important. It makes it easier. But But I'm not exactly sure what this is. Why willpower is overrated. It's a bit too vague. Because you do need a bit of willpower to build habits as well, correct? There's this trick that people do. They count to 3 in their head. So let's say if you're lying on the couch and you know you have to gym in like, you know, you have to go and gym because you know you got the alert, it's time for you to go and gym. So it's a trick people use and it's called 1, 2, 3. So you count in your head 1, 2, 3, you wake up. You go and do it. You see, now that's the willpower. That's the willpower. At least you've gotten up and you're gonna go and do it, right? And then if you can keep doing that, it starts now build what he's talking about, habit. But you can't have a habit without willpower. You know, I'm not sure what he's talking about in this thing, but it's a hugely vague concept because nobody likes being disciplined. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like waking up to trade the pre-London session. But you know, at some point I had to get tired of all my shit and do it. And that was the willpower in me to say, I want to change my life. I want something better for my life. You know, I got tired of my shit. And then after a while, it became a habit. And once it becomes a habit, then you know you're in there. Now it's much easier to like keep that habit going. So yeah, habit is definitely better than willpower in the sense of it will last longer. That's for sure. Because motivation is overrated. When that motivation goes out the window, that's when discipline kicks in. Willpower can be tied to motivation too. So at the end of the day, what you really need is discipline. So if we're digging into this, do you have discipline? Look at your life right now. Are you disciplined? And you know, you just gotta be honest with yourself. Are you disciplined? Are you masking it? Because you know, people who deal with addiction like alcohol abuse, they can be okay for some time, but they may be going to take a route that they're going to mask it. You know what some people with alcohol abuse do? They go to the gym. They beat themselves up in the gym. You know, so they're finding like another way of like maybe even masking it. But sometimes these guys fall back into relapses because they haven't like really taken control of the situation. They just think they have control. So, you know, there's a big difference between thinking that you have control and knowing that you have control. That's the whole illusion that the Matrix is. The Matrix will make you think you have control. Oh, you're going to lock yourself out with an app? You think you have control. That's what the Matrix wants you to believe. But it knows it has you docile. It knows it has you where it wants you because it knows if you're doing that, perfect, this guy's not going to grow. This guy's not going to build character. So we're going to give him the illusion that he thinks that he has control. But you have to break out of the Matrix. You either do have it or not. Like if you look at the trades that I take here, and that's why it's quite important to always journal your trades. You're either sticking to 103 or 102 trades a day and managing your risk, or you're letting your trades or your losing days compound. You know, so if you're going to have more situations like this, you're going to look at that and say, okay, you know, like what happened over here? What can I do differently next time? So maybe I can try avoid as much as possible, like, you know, a 4 or 5 lose streak. Because there was something I did here. There could have been something that I could have done differently. Yeah, otherwise, who wants to wake up at 3 a.m.? Yeah, nobody wants to wake up. No one likes to do these things that actually make you money. Making money is a boring process. It takes a lot of time. It's not as enjoyable, especially if you're running like a content-oriented business. So think about all these people you look up to. Let's say if this guy is driving a Porsche around a mountain, right? A mountain track or something like that. Do you know how boring it is driving a Porsche around a mountain to create content? Because at every corner, the cameraman has to set up so you can come around the bend. And once you come around the bend, and then you know you're going to have to stop the car so the cameraman can catch up to you. And you know, it's like a whole process. It's a whole process to do that. It takes the enjoyment out of it. Like making the sausage is not as great as eating the sausage. So when you watch it on YouTube, it looks pretty sick. But when you're making it, man, it's not as fun. It's not as fun. So, you know, the things that, you know, sometimes as people got to do to make money and sell courses, like, you know, Andrew Tate does a lot of that. It's not fun to do those things, you know, it requires a lot of discipline. Hey, Tetra, have you already gone over the trade you took? No. You get used to waking up early to make money, especially when you're overall profitable. The addiction is making the money. That's kind of what keeps you going, is like the fact that you can do it. You know, the whole thing about being disciplined in trading is the addictive part is the reward, is you get rewarded for a good habit. You know, so that's kind of what makes you addicted to the process of getting better every day, is because you're going to do it out of discipline, and then you're going to get a good result, and you're going to be like, okay, you know, I'm going to do this again because, you know, that feels good. That feels good, you know? But the trick is you have to be consistent, because let's say, okay, let's take this as in terms of like a gym, right? If you gym for this long consistently, you might look at the results and see nothing, you know? But if you keep going, gym for this long consistently, you look at the results and say, okay, you know, I'm actually starting to make progress. And even on that day you feel tired, you look back at your first picture all the way up here, and then you look back at this picture all the way down here, and you're like, okay, so something's happening. Something's changing. It's a small change, but it's there, you know? And you keep doing that over a time span like this, and then you're like, wow, I really see the growth now. I really see the growth. And then that just becomes addictive. But you want to have, I always say, you want to have a strong foundation, because if you're just masking the problem from here, it takes you so long to build a good habit. But people destroy companies in one day. You can have this whole track record, but you can destroy it literally in one day. It's so much easier for you to destroy it, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to build it. So that's why that foundation part, it needs to be as organic and as pure as it possibly can be. Foundation is everything. If you fuck that up, that's a demon coming for you later. And you know what? God might be slowing down your process for you to learn certain things right now, because he doesn't want to rush you. He wants you to move correctly. So he's going to give you time, because, you know, this thing that you really want, he's not giving it to you now because it says, you know, I think this guy can still pick up on the hints that I'm leaving him. So I'm going to give him a bit more time. But man, if you never pick it up, you know, some people, they get what they want in life, but then quickly destroy it. So don't look at the lack of progress that you might be having in trading right now as a negative thing. Sometimes, like, God is just seeing that thing around the bend that you can't see right now, that he's protecting you from. So he's giving you a chance. Man, look at this beautiful breakout over here. See, volume is starting to come in. There's Goldie. Look at this, finally waking up over here. This is the volume we've been waiting for. It's up like 1.30% now. See, it's finally breaking out of the zone. When retest, I just joined. Look at this thing. 120 pips over there. On the 30-minute. Caught that volume. Nice one, nice one. Gold just had a clean breakout. It was a pretty clean breakout. Was there anything else? What time did we start stream? At 4. From 4. That's pretty nice. I think I would have personally gone in aggressively on this one, most likely, because we would be pushing up on the daily. But you see that only ripped up about like 30 pips. So stops are. Could have possibly secured something there, and price came down, retested the zone to try and continue moving up bullish. But yeah, this one was definitely a lot cleaner. Like even structurally speaking, that does seem a lot more cleaner. Let's move this. Yeah, but this is good. At least we're getting the push now. So he still buys, chat. Still buys. Buys are still the agenda here today. Go back to 4K. Yes, sir. 4,000 psychological mark. I think the buyers are going to take 4K, to be honest. So I got it up here. At least a monthly candlestick to close above 4K. Monthly candle is going to close tomorrow. It's got time. Got plenty of room here for this daily to even close above 4K. That's a psychological mark. So if you're going to take like a buy over here, you're going to look at $4,000 a troy ounce. There's a potential, let's say like a running target. Something like this. Because this is like a magnet, you see? It's like a magnet for price. $4,000. I still have one more bullet. Don't know if I use it. Tetra, if 4,002 get caught, I will pass my challenge. Perfect. Yeah, already up here like 145 pips. 402. Honestly, if I was you and I was trying to pass phases, I wouldn't secure anything here. I'd just put my stop loss to break even and then just let it go. Because that could be the trade that passes your challenge. That could be it right there. Yeah, with this trade, you pass phase one. Why do you need so many pips though? All the way from here to here. Holy. Okay, going for 4,000. Man, I want to say you pass your challenge, man. I hope it gets up there. 4,002. Don't you dare close. It's either passes your challenge or not. Simple. You need to get through those phases. At least that's how I look at it. I'm only left for 5 minutes. That's a big pump. Yep. Because you're in a much better scenario today than you will be any other day, I guess. Because with the FOMC and interest rate cuts, at least you have that additional catalyst that you don't get every day. I use future macro. You already closed it up. Going to try and hold the next trade. We will see if I'm cutting them all short. It's hard to hold. It's a different story. You see, risk is very fluid. The risk that you thought you're going to hold was different here. You perceive the risk differently in the beginning. And then as it moves up, it changes. Come on. Can we see 4,000? Can we get to $4,000? $4,000. Do I hear $4,000 going once? $4,000. Come on, Goldie. Just need to push up here a bit more. Can we get 4,000? $4,000 going once? Going twice? Need a bit, 18 more pips over here. Actually, oh my days. Actually, whoever's like holding this thing to 4,002, Ben, you're so close right now. You freaking just trail that. Give yourself, give your second trade another chance, because to make it on the second trade, you know, man, you'd only need like that much more. Oh, yeah, like this is why I don't like challenges, man, because like also my mentality is so difficult to hold a trade. So difficult. I literally need to look away. That's all that I need to do. I would just have to freaking put that thing to break even and just go and do something else. Go play Battlefield or something. Completely forget about it. Because you see, the longer you're on the chart, the risk changes. You know, you start thinking about, oh, maybe I should trail this position. You start having those intrusive thoughts. You see, like I just had one myself. So you kind of have to like catch yourself and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to stick with what I said I was going to do. So if I said I was going to put my stop loss to break even and let that thing just run for me to pass the challenge, that's what I got to do. So you do that simply, and then you got to leave. You see how that devil always comes and sneaks up on you. Man, I'm paper trading this, and that devil still came on my shoulder. After almost 6 years of trading, that devil still came on my shoulder and said, okay, maybe you're going to manipulate this trade a bit and then put like a trail over here. All right, man. See you later, Ryan. Man, that's the thing, man. Like, your mentality can be your worst enemy sometimes. And you always gotta catch yourself in the last seconds. I think around 4,006 is a good level. It's against my rule to get stop loss or TP. When do I recommend setting a sell to break even? Usually like after it pushes a significant amount. It depends on your entry strategy. For me, like around 20 pips is pretty good, because you see, like I know my best trades, like after getting like 20 pips, it shouldn't come back and retest my entries. It would just keep going like this. So I would like use at 20 pips. Yeah, you gotta, oh man, I wish I was in a challenge right now. I'll just put my alert here like this. Let's see the guy who said 4,002. And then I would put an alert here for break even, and I'll go and play Battlefield right now. That's what I'll do, because I know with my mentality, I'm not a holder. Even though I see my trades and my setups like these, they play out so beautifully, I'm not a holder, so I can't hold. Like I can't look at the screen. It's not my personality, so you know I'm just gonna look away. Because you know, in trading, actually, it's a better thing to look away than anything else, because most people fuck up their investments in trading is because they can't look away. You know, they can't look away. That's why they say the graveyard has the best investors. Oh man, we got 4,002. Man, I hope you pass your challenge right there. Let's freaking go. Whoever was holding, awesome. Oh man, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Pass that phase. You see, that's how you gotta do it. Don't let this trades go to waste. Don't freaking secure nothing until whatever trade that you executed on passes that phase. That's the trick to passing phases. And then once you actually get funded, you just have to trade like normally. You know, you just gotta trade normally then. So you don't have to keep doing that. See, this is the best advantage you have, is we got USD rate cuts. We previously had the FOMC. This is not going to be a similar situation you're just going to get on any day. You know, so pretty well done. I had a low lot size and I made my daily goal, but that was nice. Yeah, man, that would be an amazing alert to get right now, to be honest. Amazing alert. You're going to look at your phone and we're like, yes, pass that thing. It's a lot harder to, you see, it's a lot harder to, let's say you're going to secure something small like this. And then you have to do that again, you know, consistently, again and again and again till you get your target. That's why, like, as I always say, wait for these macro driven days, weeks. Those are the days you're gonna pass those challenges a lot easier. Man, right now I see people passing challenges like crazy. And it's because, like, they're trading in a market environment that is very beneficial to them. Like, there's a few people I follow on Instagram and like, and they're pretty young, you know, so they don't have the experience yet to understand why that the market is moving like that, because they never speak about it. They only speak about them passing the challenges, you know, and trading their technicals. But, you know, it's just like, it's nice to know that they're passing it, but like deep down inside, I know these guys, like, down the road, they're about to get some character development down the road. Because right now, market conditions are beautiful. Like, you're getting so much volume. Like, trust me, this gold is not the way gold is typically like this. Gold is not typically like this. You know, that's why I mentioned before, like, a range like this on gold back in 2021, for example, was only about like 30 pips. This range here is 148. You know, maybe this would have been a 30-40 pip range back in like normal volume days. Normal volume days, I could get 5-minute candlesticks, 10 pip stop losses, 15 pip stop losses. Man, nowadays, 5-minute candle, even a small ass 5-minute candle like this is 45 pips. 45 pips, you know, and we're talking about 30 pips in 2021 would be this range. So just for comparison, this is the scaling. This is how like a 30 pip range would be, this small, but look like this. And it's just a scaling because of how big the candles are right now. It's a bit weird, right? It's kind of weird to imagine like a 30 pip range like this could be like all of this. But it's just because there's a lot more volume inside the market. So when it comes to like challenges and that sort of thing, beautiful environments. Amazing environment. But I know down the road, man, if you don't have a good foundation, this is just going to go back to normal eventually. Because, you know, you have some people who are going to trade like profitable system for like 1 year, 2 years. And then they start to realize that their P&L is going gradually backwards. How do you know it will be that high? Because 4K is psychological mark. This is like institutional level right here. $4,000. You know, these are quite important. You know, you got your quarter points. You got your psychological round numbers. This is what the market knows. That's why if the market, you know, it's all about, think of the market like having a brain, right? Think of this like having a brain over here. If it's going to 4,000, it's going to 4,000. It's not going to 4,000 because necessarily because of your strategy. It's going to 4,000 because that's like a psychological mark that the market was attracted to. It's like a magnet. So nothing was going to stand in between its way and 4,000. You understand? Now your job is to say, okay, you know, if price moves, how can I catch these moves? Like what happens usually that makes sense that price has a move like this to like something like 4,000? You know, and then you start to build your strategy, and what your strategy basically is, it gives you a ticket. It gives you a ticket on the train. So it tells you if you can board this train, if you can get into first class, or you got to wait for another train. That's all your strategy is. It's like your connection, you know. So you gotta have like good connections sometimes, like to get the things that you want. That's all that a strategy is, because the train is gonna go with or without you. It's all about who do you know in the train who can give you that seat, or who are you to get that seat on that train before it goes. That's all that a strategy is, because the market is going to move with or without you. Sir Joshua, King of Donuts. I think now it's going to pull back to 4K and make structure over there, then break out again. But y'all were locked in. Honestly, I didn't even know this was forming when I was talking earlier. Very well done. Very nice. Very nice. Man, look at the 5 minute here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holy damn, we're already up 2%. Jeez, look at this thing. See daily bias over here? Still bullish. That's why you gotta get this super secret indicator here in the description box. If you don't have the super secret indicator, then you know you're gonna miss out on this. You're still gonna be sitting here thinking that we're bearish if you don't have the super secret indicator. That's a free indicator, by the way. Gold demand climbs as investors seek safe havens. The potential consequences of lower rates add more nuance, potentially reflecting on a worsening US economy, but also stalking fears of inflation. By now familiar theme of stagflation historically supportive of gold. That's some 7 minutes ago article that was removed. Heightened geopolitical tensions, stubborn inflation pressures, and uncertainty around global trade policy have all fueled appetite for the safe haven asset as investors look to build resilience in their portfolios. Man, this is pretty nice. Let's break yesterday's high. When you're going to take a new trade? When the Lord willeth. Let's see, daily. Yeah, we could we take out yesterday's highs? See, from here to here, boom, boom. We could definitely. This amount of volume, maybe go in for a kiss of death on this daily SMA. Hey, thanks for supporting you out there. Welcome, welcome. I hope that was like phase 2 or something. Not just phase 1, because you gotta do that again. But the good thing is, the good news is that a FOMC just happened. So if we get like the next daily candle, because you know you're done for the day. It's done? Alright, nice. Yeah, but you know, let's just say, assuming that it was a phase 1, you're already done for the day. Just phase 1? Oh, okay. So you're done for the day. No more trades for you. This is it for you. You know, you're gonna enjoy your day to day. You're not gonna fuck it up anymore. Okay, so tomorrow you're gonna come back onto the chart. Tomorrow is Freaky Friday. It's the end of the month. But the key thing is you gotta have this indicator. Without this indicator, you're not gonna know if the daily candlestick is moving yet, because you might get stuck in a range. But at least that indicator is going to show to you the some sort of direction. And what we want to see tomorrow is daily bias being bullish, at least up. You know, right now when you took this buy, or whenever these buys were happening, the daily was up 0.80%. So you already want to have some kind of a conviction of where price is going to go. You know, that's all that you're looking for. Because, you know, the higher up it goes, obviously now it's becoming a little bit later in the day. We just hit like 2%. Majority of the volume has already played out since Asia, and we just got this London push. So, you know, you're done for the day. So you got to come back tomorrow with like a fresh set of eyes. What's the mechanics of the indicator? It shows you when the daily is at a certain percentage that we're starting to have some movement. It's basically almost like a momentum type of thing. It will show you if there's momentum, basically. And it's going to show you where the momentum is. Is it going to be bullish? Is it going to be bearish? See, on gold right now, it's a free indicator. On gold, let's see. See, Beyond Meat is bearish. Whatever. Let's see GJ. GJ is bullish. You see, there's a lot more bullish momentum on GJ right now. A lot more bullish momentum on GJ. So you're looking more for like buys. AUD USD, look at this. It says it's waiting over here. Why is it waiting? If you look from the Asia session, see if I can get my kill zones. If you look from the Asia session, there hasn't been a direction. You see, this is the Asia over here. These are Asia lows, Asia highs. What is this? There's no momentum anywhere. This is neutral. So it's going to tell you that this market is waiting right now. It hasn't yet decided whether it wants to go down. It hasn't yet decided whether it wants to go up. It's just waiting. Looks like a head and shoulders. Yeah, I got a small little head and shoulders there. Boom, boom, boom. But for me, I think I would not have caught this trade myself. I would have caught this one, if anything. This one, it was like a little 30 pip banger over here. And then it secured something, and then, yeah, that'll be it. Small little move over here. All right, let me see how it actually broke out. Yeah, I'll probably take it at the break of these highs. Let's see. Oh yeah, that would have triggered me in like that. Got nice little SMA confluence, kiss of death. See on the 5-minute time frame. Okay, it's still got some range over here to move up. Albeit it's a small range, but the 15 was looking a lot more cleaner to move up towards like 39.76 over there. And let's see, get a little bit of pullback. All right. Get rid of that. Wouldn't you say which indicator it is? It's a daily bias indicator. It's in the description box. I think we're going to get it if it breaks the lows. Reach our structure and go up.
Bomboka!
I don't even have FOMO on missing out on passing my challenge. Good stuff. My trading edge is perfect. My psychology is bad. Do you do one-on-one? No. Yeah, see, you got a good edge, but you got a bad psychology. But at least you know now what it is that you have to work on. You know, there's a reason that we have, you know, trend lines and all these strategies, because like everything works. Like you could trade something profitably. It just needs to fit with your psychology. That's the reason why all these things exist. You know, you got Ichimoku clouds, support resistance. It's not that one strategy works better than the other. It's just like what works best for you. You know, what makes the most sense for you. There's no holy grail that one thing is going to work better than the other thing. It's just like, you know, what can you find that makes sense for you? If support resistance makes sense, accumulation distribution, then that's what you're going to focus on. Because the moment you start to mix things, that's when it gets really messed up. When you mix strategies, the last thing you want to do is mix strategies. Because then you're not committing. You're not giving a commitment of 100% when you mix. You know, it's kind of like you're neither here nor there type of thing. It's a worst type of mindset to have. Neither here nor there. You'd rather make a decision and stand by your decision and just have that show you whatever result comes next following that. At least when you get the results are going to be a lot more clean, as opposed to neither being here, neither being there. That means you're just not making a decision, and whatever happens, there's no accountability. And that's the worst place to be in. But you'd rather have a system, let's say support resistance, and really try and iron that thing out to know like if it's going to be for you or if you understand it or not. Rather than do support resistance plus FVG plus TFX concepts, because you're not going to really know what's going on. So for me, whenever I take a trade, I'm going to know like, okay, you know, was I following my rules? Was this a clean trade, etc., etc.? Then you're going to be able to refine that, and through iteration, you're going to be able to have like a better sample sizing on that data. So you got to think of trading like an experiment, like you're conducting an experiment every day. And the sample sizes need to be as pristine as possibly they can be, so you can see and study those results. You know, that's why when people think about taking like impulsive entries, man, impulsive entries are the most delicate procedure you're ever gonna do. You know, so you don't want to be too impulsive with your trades. It's like very delicate situation. Because you know, an impulse entry in a sense is in a sense also a very delicate entry, because price can quickly go against you. Thanks for the indicator. Welcome. I wonder if it is possible to make a coin flip strategy profitable. It must be right. Probably take a ridiculous amount of trial and error though to fix the parameters. Man, we should be actually doing the coin flip. We do have a coin flip strategy over here. And this thing is called the Gulag flip. And as of date, it has I always like to think it's a 70% win rate. So you're going to start with a flip. All right, let's say let's go on a target. Now let's go choice. So heads is always buys, tails is sell. We're going to ask, can gold keep breaking and moving up bullish above 4,000 right now? Coin lands on. Oh, it's tails. We lose the coin flip. So according to the coin flip, you gotta take a sell over here on gold. Let's see what the coin flip does. Let's see what Zoli says. Will gold keep moving up right now beyond $4,000? Remember, coin flip set sell. There goes the past challenge on that sell. Alright, let's see what we got over here. Gold may not surpass $4,000 just yet. Heed your instincts carefully as you navigate the evolving landscape. Okay, so we got mixed bias here, guys, on these indicators. Mixed bias confluence. Let's see. So we got coin flip set sells. Tell you that coin flip got a 70% hit rate. I don't know much about Zoli, because Zoli always gives these weird answers sometimes. It's kind of spiritual answers, which could mean both things at the same time. Bull flagging like crazy. What's your dream car? A UFO. I want to be the first person to own a UFO. They're pretty fast. I reckon they're quite comfortable too. Go to space. Is your strategy about capturing small moves like 30 pips? No. It's not about catching any amount of pips. It's just about making money. But if you want like an answer to that, then yeah, you know, like you can catch 30 pips. We normally catch like 30 pips on stream. Off stream, I catch 16 pips, but I use the same strategy. So what does that mean? Have you guys ever thought about that before? I use the same strategy I take on my scalps, but on stream I catch 30 pips, but on my other trades I catch 16 pips. So it's not about the pips. For me, it's not about the pips. Like if I want to hold my trade, I can hold my trade and make more money. It's the same, literally it's the same entry. Or I could hold my trade shorter and still make more money. It makes like no difference to me, but I like to hold my trade shorter. If you ask me like my psychological makeup, I prefer to hold my trades shorter. It's because I know sometimes when we're gonna use like stop losses, which are a bit tight and all of those things, like it's a lot more difficult for you guys to also sometimes catch the same moves. Like you're gonna sometimes struggle, even if we're doing it live. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me just make this as simple for everybody as possible. We catch the most pips and we can all get stuck in, and it's a lot more stress-free. Because, you know, trading at the end of the day, it's not the easiest thing. But I'm fortunate enough to have a strategy whereby I can secure sooner or I can secure later. Because what the idea is behind the way I trade is all that I'm trying to do is just get in the point A. My whole system is revolved around like finding... Because, you know, when I was building this system, I used to see moves like this happen basically on the 5 minute, right? And I'd be wondering like, how could I have caught this move? Because, you know, I used to investigate and I would see like a resistance over here and be like, okay, you know, how could I have taken this buy if we're sitting at our resistance? And every time this used to happen, I used to like ask myself, okay, so what's happening on the 1 minute time frame? Because the 1 minute will give me more data over here. So I look at the 1 minute and I would see something happen over and over and over again that would make those moves like play out like this. Correct? So that's what my whole system was built upon. The idea of how to catch this. That's why you see like with the way I trade, it's almost a zero drawdown approach, because I'm eliminating all the unnecessary things. I'm removing all the unnecessary things so I can just be left with the true essence. You know, when you do an experiment, you're also kind of like removing all the unnecessary things so you can remain with the purity, the purest form of whatever it is. It's like an alchemy, right? The purest form of whatever it is. So that's the way I look at charts, and that's the way I kind of like dissect markets. And that's why we can have 16 pip trades or we can have 30 pip trades. And the only difference now is, what's your mentality like? You know, can you hold the trades longer? Are you able to hold them longer? Or do you not have a mentality to hold them longer? Can you hold it? Can you not hold it? You know, that's going to be up to you, because me and you, we don't share the same brain. See it like this? Can you hold it longer? I can't hold it longer. Maybe you can. I don't know. I've always been a scalper. See this? Look at these runners over here. Why not hold them, right? We have the data. The data is here. These are all the trades. Go on the spreadsheet. Right here. These are all the trades. Like every time we take a trade over here and it's a winning trade, then I'm going to put the before and after picture of that, because you're not going to learn much from the losing trades. You always got to look at your winning trades, because if you're going to look too much at your losing trades, there's always going to be a reason why you're going to lose, you know. But if you start looking at your winning trades, you're going to see there's a reason why certain trades are always winning. So you're trying to replicate the wins. You're not trying to replicate the losses. The losses are only good to see if you can maybe lose less, but they're not necessarily good to help you win more. Not necessarily. You'd want to focus more on the wins for that. You know, and then we can look at our results over here and say, okay, you know, this is pretty good. At least price pushes significantly. You get more freedom with shorter target. Yep, me too. I love the shorter targets. In and out. Is Legends trading good for beginners? No idea. Would you take trades against the daily indicator momentum? Not in conditions like this. Not when we have like FOMC and we know why price has been driven with so much volume. I wouldn't. But then there are normal days where it can be bullish, but there could be like a good counter trend move. It might be a shorter term move, but it could be a good move. So for example, let's say if you have like a clean range on the left hand side. All right, let's say a break below support like this. And then you have all this clean range over here. You know, it's like a good move. You could probably get away with a trade. But at the end of the day, you always want to be more in line with this, especially on days where it's driven by like macro volume. Because gold right now has been heavily influenced by macro volume. So there's a chance that you're going to get faked out. You're going to get a whip if you take a counter move. So you got to pick and choose. And also timing is important. You know, right now it's still fresh timing. This London session and all. But as we approach like pre-New York, you might have a better chance at counter trend moves, because you're going to see some days Asia and London will move up. So there's a higher chance that pre-NY might start to pull down a bit. So again, you got to use that in line with time. But if you're not comfortable yet with doing that, then, you know, just stick with the daily bias. Dubai on the drone. Thank you for the sub. I need to take a shit, but looks good setup, so I have to keep it inside for a few minutes. It reminds me of the movie again yesterday, The Long Walk. Imagine those guys walked like 300 miles and they had to take a shit. And every time they stopped to take a shit, they'll get like a warning. And every like few seconds that go by, you get 1 warning, 2 warning, 3 warning, then you get shot. So you have to take a shit in between 3 warnings, which is probably like less than a minute. So it was so funny the way they took shits in that movie. It can't be like yesterday. Yeah, this is it. This is how the poster here looks. 2025. It's a recent one. The long walk. So these are the fellas right here. These are the boys. The soldiers. You gotta pinch it, you know? You take a shit, you gotta pinch it. Pinch it and keep it moving. Slow down too much. It's not gonna be good. These are the movies I love. You know, they're so simple. They're so simple, but like the storytelling is amazing. Like you don't need no CGI, you don't need nothing. See, that's a truck back here. And they all gotta work like at a certain pace. And the whole idea is the last person who remains standing gets a grand prize and a 1 wish. They can wish for anything. Anything their heart desires. I wouldn't sign off for this shit. It's mentally grueling. When you watch a movie, you're like, I could probably do it. But in reality, when you're actually doing it, you're like, damn, this is actually mentally difficult. This is actually really hard. Is that a good movie? Yeah, I would rate it like 8 out of 10 for sure. I'm still amazed by how Transformer CGI beats a lot of modern CGI. Yeah, even some old game CGI looks a lot better than modern game CGI. It's almost like they're going backwards sometimes. Or like graphics, old game graphics. But you know what I found funny is our camera quality hasn't changed since like the 60s, 70s. Oh no, when was the phone invented? But our camera quality hasn't changed much since like people were using phones. I think back in the 70s, in terms of like taking a video of something in the distant, in the middle of the night. It's a bit wild to me. All these cameras, you got like 3 cameras on your phone. And if you want to shoot something in the middle of the night, it still looks like garbage. You still can't really make anything out too much. Who pumped Goldie? See, the coin flip said Goldie should actually sell. At this point. So it's accumulating right now. You got this support level here. You got some resistance over there. You got that $4,000 mark. So now the question is, this is now 50-50. Inside of the zone is going to be 50-50. It's either like price is going to break these lows, have a deeper pullback, maybe a fake out. But breaking the highs would definitely be more in line with the trend to move up bullish. But it's hard to resist after such a big push like this to take a possible sell here. But you see, you got to break these lows. These lows with some kind of a volume. See, it's 50-50. But it's currently like at a point A. See how the market operates? It'll give you one setup. Boom. It'll pay you out. And then it's going to give you another setup. And then maybe it pays it out to the downside. Maybe it pays it out to the upside. So it's taking a little pause over here. Because like for me, I'm a true believer in like focusing on first of all, I'm a true believer in securing something. And then second of all, I'm a true believer in trading what the market is giving me at this current moment. So other people, what they're going to do is they're going to look back here and start pulling out some things from back over here. You know, they're going to do that analysis. But for me, I just focus on what's going on right now. Because I believe every moment in the market is unique. Here it's unique. What happened there was a unique move. So whatever is on the left-hand side, it can give you clues of what to expect, right? So if you got like a clean range like this, for example, it can give you like a clue of where price is heading towards. But how can you catch this move? The only way you can catch this move if you focus on what price is doing at this current moment. And whatever it does at that current moment is going to be a unique experience to how you're going to get into that trade. You know, maybe it gives you liquidity grab confluence and then breaks the highs, or candlestick closes above resistance, then gives you a nice little shotgun play, or price accumulates and then breaks a key level of a key wick. So that's going to be the unique moment, is how to get stuck in. Like I always say, the hardest part of trading is getting stuck in. Like doing the analysis is, you know, it takes the most time, but it should be as simple as you can possibly have it be. So you don't overanalyze and you don't have analysis paralysis. And then getting stuck in, that is the hardest part for me. Is, you know, really testing your patience, testing your self-control second by second until you get triggered. So like me, I like to use market execution. So I have to test my self-control until I actually, let's say if I want to sell, until price actually breaks that level. Because you know what sometimes the market does? It can come like this, not break that level, you get in, and then it goes up like that. You know, so for me, the hardest part is getting stuck in. And then sometimes it's also like you can get some invalidations as it tries to break this level. Let's say if the volume starts to slow down, if maybe you see candles start to do this. Let's say they come down like this. Next candle comes down like this. Next candle does this. And you notice like there's a slowness in volume. Sometimes that is risky, because then you end up having pullbacks. Like once it triggers, you're going to end up having something like that happen. Then it starts to pull up, and then market can kind of like consolidate for a bit. You know, there's a difference in the way also price comes and triggers you in. So that getting triggered is the most difficult part. You see, but in a situation like this is a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier. Because candlestick came, broke above resistance, and then the next candlestick moved with conviction. It said, no, we're going to go up here today. You know, so it moved with conviction to the upside. It didn't stop. It didn't slow down. It said like, okay, you know, we're moving up here, so we're moving up. Simple. Those are the best types of entries. You know, another trade like this was like yesterday. Look at this trade from yesterday. You see how that trade over here started moving up slowly? It didn't give so much conviction. You see where it came up? Boom, boom, boom. And you see what happens when it breaks with like a low conviction? You start to have candlesticks pulling back down again, creating that structure. It doesn't mean you're wrong about the trade. It could still play out, but it's not the ideal situation you would want to be seeing. And we also had macro volume, so price action was quite a forgiving yesterday because it was directional. You see, there's a big difference between how this gets triggered and how that gets triggered, correct? Big difference. These are like small nuanced things that you start to better understand the more you stick with the system. Consolidation until NY. It's a pretty small consolidation. I feel like it's going to spread out a bit more. It's like only about 85 pips. So it's either going to like break below here and then spread out a bit more, or break above there. Spread out a bit more. But it will break either one of these highs before NY. Or even before the new hourly candle, it could still break. Got about 11 minutes for this hourly candle closure over there. About to get some kind of a break soon though. Let's see what this is. It's all probabilities. Now, whether that's going to be a winning trade or a losing trade. Dip back below 4K. You can see the seller is slightly coming back in here. 4,000 has been broken below. So, you know, the sellers are going to feel more confident because now you're breaking 4,000. I see. So it's a nice little psychological mark for them to hold over here. As it started breaking below those lows. You see? Pretty good. Pretty good move. What was that? Like 46 pips? Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. TFX concepts. Come on now. Stop playing with me. Dump it. So all I'm teaching you here is I can only put the food on the spoon, but you know I can't feed you. That's all that I'm doing here. Just putting the food on the spoon, and you gotta look at the chart, and then you gotta say, okay, you know, maybe he's onto something. Maybe there's something this guy is doing that, you know, makes him have these winning trades. You know, because like all these trades that I take over here, they all have something in common, correct? Maybe there's something to it. You know, so now you just have to look at that for yourself and say, does this fit my mental model of how I understand markets? Does it make sense? Does it make sense to me? See this? Look at what's happening here on AUD USD. You gotta look at that, you say, okay. Alright, so there's something that happens when something happens. When the market sets up in a certain way, there's something that follows that certain pattern. So, you know, if you don't see it, then you just gotta like, you know, work on that. You gotta work on that. Because I didn't see it. I didn't see it for a whole year. Nobody taught me this. I had to figure this out myself. You guys have it easy. You know, at least if it was for me and I had a stream like this would have made things move a bit faster for me. But I had to figure it out because nobody was talking about it. Everybody was just talking about these other things. You know, so it took me a year to figure that out. And I had to figure it out myself. It's not like I watched a video on it. So then I started looking at that. I'm like, okay, so that's quite interesting. You know, I watched that happen for like a month or two. And then I started executing on it. I think I noticed it in the, I think it was like the 10th month, the 10th or 11th month in my trading journey. But that's after like all trial and error. For that year, I was basically trying literally everything. And then it's like, you got to go through that first, because even if you're watching this now, you're going to have to go through it yourself. You still have to experience for yourself all those strategies first, the trend lines, the chart patterns, the FVGs, the support resistance, the Fibonacci levels. You're gonna have to experience, because it's just curiosity. You're curious about all other things, you know, Wyckoff theory, all those things. For you, it's like you haven't gotten your closure yet, so it's gonna take time for you to first go through all of that, and then you're gonna start stripping it back away. Then that's now when the unlearning starts. You start to unlearn so you can actually now have what it is that you want. But that's how everything is, right? That's how technology works that way as well. We start by giving you everything, the most complicated stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, they kind of like strip everything away. If you look at an iPhone, they kind of like strip all the unnecessary tools away. So it's not like before where you had access to all the menus. You could go in like all these secret menus and like, you know, change certain things, change your wallpaper, your icons. You could do all so much stuff with it, like what Androids can kind of still do. They're like, okay, you know, let's strip away some of this stuff. Let's just keep the stuff that, you know, we kind of looking at that's working over here. And then over that iteration, that's when you finally get the final product. You know, the more than iPhone, you get the final product after all iterations. And they're like, okay, I think I like this. You know, it's quite simple. I have everything that I need in here, nothing more. And it works. Trades catch you until you start catching them. Yes, sir. Because, you know, for your trading life to be stable, also, you know, your personal life needs to be almost kind of like empty. Because if you have a hectic personal life, then your trading life is also going to be hectic. So you see, you're going to start to see some stripping away as well in your personal life. And that's why for me, minimalism and efficiency is how I live my personal life. It's not complicated. Everything is almost down to a science in a certain way, as much as possible. So I can make things go as efficiently as I can throughout my whole day. So every day for me is almost kind of mechanical. You know, I leave very little to chance of how my day starts and how my day ends. And, you know, for your trading life to also be as efficient, your personal life also has to be some kind of efficient. Because if you're on your trading, if you're trading now and you know, your girlfriend is telling you, hey, babe, let's go grocery shopping. And, you know, you're like, babe, but, you know, I'm in a trade right now. I need to catch this move. Then you see that's going to affect your trading life as well. So when you're on the charts, you have to pick a time in the day when ideally you'll have the less amount of distractions, so you can think as clearly as possible. Man, I used to be in those situations so much. It's a privilege to have an easy personal life. It could be privilege, it could be choices that you make. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's choices, to be honest. You know, I had to make some pretty difficult choices myself when I took this journey on. I had to let go of certain people. I had to change a certain lifestyle. You know, these are all choices that I had to make. And sometimes you just have to make those choices. Do you want to have friends? Or do you want to work on your goals? You know, do you want to fuck around? Or do you want to actually start achieving something? You know, because out of a whole 24 hours, you can't tell me that you don't have a choice to make where out of those 24 hours, you can do something for yourself. And some people say, yeah, but you know, I have kids, you know, my kids always like busy and, you know, they take a lot of time away from me and, you know, I got this and I got that. It's like, okay. Because whatever choice you make, you're right. I want a little break and retest here on the 4K. Let's see what happens. It's accumulating. This is a reversal signal right here. If it breaks a key level like this and then starts to consolidate, and then breaks these highs by 4,070, that's going to be a reversal signal. Are you saying buyers are stepping back in? Not yet. Until like maybe some key wicks over here get broken by like 44,000.87. That's usually like some kind of a reversal signal. Because again, how do your profitable trades look? And how do your losing trades look? Look at this. How do your profitable trades look? And how do your losing trades look? Most of the time, your losing trades are going to give you a much harder time. They're not gonna, you know, most of the time the losing trade is the one which gives you a hard time, and your winning trade is the one which gives you less of a hard time. You know, start collecting that data for yourself, and you're gonna notice like that pattern of how you know, deep down inside, we know this. When we trade whatever systems that we trade, we somehow have like a gut feeling that something has changed, you know, something's a bit weird. It's not as smooth. And then we do nothing. We do nothing until, you know, candle sometimes gives you like a warning, some kind of an insurance, but we do nothing because we don't know. And then it starts doing this, and then we're like, shit, this is going to be a losing trade. And we know this, but we do nothing until it hits our stop loss. So the more that happens, the more you start to realize, how can I lose less? You know, what can I do when the market gives me a hard time? So instead of, let's say, losing 80 pips, for example, I can lose, you know, maybe like 21 pips. So you gotta wait. If these highs get broken, there's a higher probability now. A variable has changed that price can go against you. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna say, okay, if I didn't secure anything on this move, what am I gonna do to limit my downside? But that was like a 70 pip push. But anyway, you're holding. What can I do to limit my downside? Maybe you're going to close your full position here as it breaks these highs. And then just wait for the easy trades where, you know, price just goes in your favor like this. And you're going to take this insurance here. It's like if you could count cards. Imagine you could count cards. You're sitting at a blackjack table and you're looking at the cards and you're saying, man, there's a higher probability the dealer's gonna get a 21, right? Blackjack. So when he offers you that insurance, you say you're gonna take that insurance because you know you're counting cards. That's what it is. That's what trading is like. So you gotta take your insurance over here because you're counting cards, counting the variables and how they shift when you're in your position. That's a beautiful thing about TFX concepts. We leave nothing to chance. Yes, now we break structure with the buyer's bull will come for sure. Exactly. Just the same way as you saw the psychology of how candles were breaking 4,000 and how the sellers were coming in. The buyers are going to have that same psychology and confidence once you start breaking these highs right over here. So then you got to be careful because they're going to be most likely targeting these next highs right over here. So it's all like psychological warfare, man. A lot of people think trading is this thing where it's just going to like draw a trend line and you're just going to keep getting your entries on a bounce. And you don't know what the real trenches are like. It's a psychological warfare more than anything else. And the beautiful thing, it becomes fun. And it's enjoyable when you have a simple system, right? Because you see how efficient this is? Look at how much analysis I have on my chart right now. I almost have zero analysis. I just have these two lines over here for visual purposes. But the rest of it, everything that happens in between, right here, all psychology. So if it reaches above that wick right there, you mean it's going to go up once again? Yeah, if it breaks that wick over there, there's going to be a higher probability, and all that trading is probability to... I'm not saying it's going to happen 100% because nothing is 100%. But it's not even 100% I finished the stream. Anything can happen to me right now. A freaking meteorite could fall from space and land on my house. Nothing is 100%. But all I'm saying is if price breaks these highs, there's a high probability that's not 100% that price goes up to squeeze these sellers out. It's going to squeeze them out because it knows the daily is bullish and we're going to have like a bit more conviction. You see as it breaks? Let's see. Get a strong break. You need a strong break though. None of these little wimpy. I don't even think that broke. Yeah, that didn't even break yet. but it played on psychology for people who get into early. You see what it does there? Right before it breaks, it pulls down, and you're like, shit, I already got in. It just played a little psychology trick right there. I know this because I've traded this system for 5 years. I know all the tricks it does. Me and the market are like this. Me and gold are like this. We're married. Gold is my wife. I understand gold. I understand its tricks. Its manipulations. Its mentality. Now it's going to break properly. Wait for it to break properly. It's going to try and scare these sellers out. You just watch. It's not 100%, but there's a higher probability. Just watch right here. Let's see. Let's see. Come on, Goldie. Just break. Just fucking break already. Get these guys out of there. Let's see if it shakes them off. It hasn't yet fucking broken. That's the thing. I want to see them get squeezed. These little greedy ones. That's why we say buyers make money, sellers make money, pigs get slaughtered. Because you know what happened over here? You got some guys who are like ninjas, right? They come in, boop, in and out, in and out, in and out. They're already out. And then you get like people else, other people here who are going to be like a sitting duck. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just like the longer they are in the market, the more risky it becomes for them. You see, it didn't break yet. You see, it didn't break right, but it flirted with the idea of the break. Now you got the sellers coming back in, trying to take over 4,000 psychological mark over there. It's quite an important area as well. $4,000 per troy ounce. See that? It doesn't break yet. Hasn't broken yet. Sellers are still trying to hold $4,000. Now it's a psychological warfare between buyers and sellers right over here. So who's gonna take this mark? Yeah, this is a freaking reversal signal. For sure, if I was holding this trade, man, I don't care if this is a liquidity grab. I'd rather have a liquidity grab and have it freaking melt than have this go against me at that point if I had my stop losses somewhere around here. I would take the insurance for sure. It's like chess. What's the best move? You know, in chess sometimes, you know, you gotta sacrifice that guy. There's a guy in there, you know this guy, we gotta sacrifice this guy for the greater good. So that's what this is right now. You gotta like sacrifice a key chessboard piece for the greater good. Man, drop some more gems on your everyday life and trading. See, now we just gotta wait over here. What are we gonna do? We're gonna break these lows, because now if we start to break below these lows, that should be a bearish continuation. You know, sometimes you get a Trojan horse. You know what a Trojan horse is? You're gonna have a buyer sell price to trick the sellers, because it knows there's a lot of sellers here, and then it's gonna be an expense they take to now pump it on the other side. So that's how institutions would trade, because they can move the market. So their job is to see where is that liquidity. So they feel like there's a lot of liquidity here, but they have a greater chance of having a profitable day with a bullish bias. They could take that expense to push it down and then reflip it back up, knowing that most likely the sellers are not going to be convinced enough to hold a position and draw down against a daily bias following FOMC and USD rate cuts. And that's how we get into like a higher level of trading, which we can't do as retail traders. So all that we can do is stick to our guns. So if we say, okay, you know, we're bullish over here, then if it breaks these lows, you don't get in, anticipating some kind of a reversal to break these highs to continue moving up bullish. Then you're just kind of like riding the wave. It's what we spoke about, being the little fishes next to the whales. You know, we're just like swimming next to the whale. But we also want to understand the whale's mentality. Yeah, but this is like a lot of tension over here. It's like a rubber band about to explode. It's gonna come up for these sellers right now. I have one winning trade. I'm not itching to take anymore. Yeah, I'm up for the day like quite a lot. Might take one more though. I'm just excited to see how this battle here is gonna end. It's like watching sports. All right, so we got the buyers coming in. You know, the sellers are still holding 4,000 here, still quite strong right now. But the buyers are really starting to have a rally. I see we have a small little 1 minute liquidity grab off that bearish candlestick, create a resistance. The buyers currently have that 8 SMA in their field right now. But they got that 50 SMA. We got the quarterback right there blocking the way. So the buyers wouldn't be able to easily get through this player right over here. We got that 50 SMA. But you know, with this 8 SMA, guys, I reckon, Tom, if we can take 4,001, if the buyers can take 4,001, we could see a home run. We could see a home run over here. What do you think, Tom? Yeah, you know, I'm looking at the bears. I think the bears here, they have a pretty good chance if, you know, if they can take over 39.95, take over that 8 SMA. All they got to do is get through that 8 SMA over there, Jerry. Once they get that 8 SMA, then they should be off to the races. Well, stay tuned, guys. Got the bears taking back that 8 SMA now, so gotta wait. You gotta now wait and see what the result is. Back to you in the studio. Back to you in the studio, Ricardo. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to take the baton. Take the baton. All right, Tom. Looks like it's kind of a stalemate over here. So we got an equal amount of force on both sides. This is a really great team. They share an equal amount of strength over here. It seems to be quite difficult. We just need to get a slip up. You know, we just need that window, Tom. If we can get one of the players to give a small window of opportunity, then I think, you know, I think we can get through it. I think we can get through it and price can finally move. But it's quite in a gridlock right now. It all depends on who's going to get tired, Tom. Who do you think? Well, I think right now I'm still going to be on the bullish side of the market. Let's actually hand over the microphone to Joe Rogan over here. What do you think about this, Joe? Man, I think the bullish players, they have a pretty good grip on the tournament so far. They've been doing pretty well since the Asia session, since the pre-London, the London session. We had a massive move during the London Open. And now the question is, can they hold that momentum? Can they keep pushing price of gold up? This is a key level here. This is a key level here, Jerry. $4,000 is no joke. It's quite a heavy mark, $4,000. This is the mark that the monthly candlestick needs to respect above $4,000. If we don't take $4,000 going into the next season, into next month, won't be as motivational for the buyers, you know. So this is a very strong psychological mark for both players on both sides of the fences. So it really depends. If we can get 4,000, that could really set the tone to see how the next season is gonna unfold. So we just gotta wait here and see what happens. It's like Call of Duty to each side to try and win. We just gotta wait and see here. You got that 50 SMA is catching up a little bit more. If that 50 SMA could come back into this zone before the break, that will even be better, because, you know, if it's gonna react off that 50 SMA, then it can have its rejection sooner if it wants to break those lows. But if that 50 SMA is a little bit above these wicks, it could just tap, slight break, and then come back down. So as things unfold over here, we're going to get a clear story of what's to come next. Now, let me see here on the 5-minute time frame. We got the 5-minute SMA over here, still holding price down. You see, it's pretty good. The 5-minute SMA is within the wicks. So once we start breaking above that SMA over there and breaking that wick, we won't have too much of a dynamic resistance. As you can see, we got currently a kiss of death over here, that 8 SMA. We like to look at it as a bully SMA right now. It is bullying these candlesticks, as you can see. It's giving them a hard time. It's kind of putting the playing field more in the position of the sellers here. As we dig into the higher time frames, we can see where the confluences are. The 15-minute 8 SMA is catching up, however, there. So it might be a short-lived run down towards 39.91. You might see some reactions off of that, but they could take this initial break over here, as they do have the 5-minute SMA in their confluence. They now also have taken that 8 SMA. It's not looking good for the bulls right now, Tom. It seems like they might be going for the home stretch right now. Just need to see a little bit more confidence as price comes down and breaks these lows. That's all we need to do. We just got a few players over here that, you know, we need to get through. And then price can continue moving down. This is a doozy. This has been one of the greatest battles we have seen all day. For the most part, price has been, you know, just like kind of not really that great. But right now it is looking a lot more interesting. You can feel the tension building up. You can feel it in the atmosphere in the stadium right now. People are really waiting to see what the outcome here is going to be. Whether we're going to move up or are we going to move down. Whatever's going to happen, there's going to be an amazing play from here. This is a point A right now. So about to get a big distribution to the upside, big distribution to the downside. But just like in sports, you know, something can happen and your price can break these highs. Boom. And then quickly the game's going to turn. And then you're going to see a nice little play here on the bears to take 29.95 and then take it down, as we've seen happen in the past before. But we got to wait and see. It's like it's honestly like a sport. Sometimes you have those plays which give way. So you want to give way to the players to make them think that they have control, and then you quickly take it back. But I believe whatever side that we break, price should distribute. So we buy, guys. If you want to be part of these guys, if you like being in the middle of a, what do you call it in rugby? When you get in the crom? When you get in the, you know, what is that thing called? Rough. When in rugby, like, you gotta hold each other and it's kind of like you're pushing each other. If you like being inside of that, then, you know, this is a place for you to be. But I don't think it's a pretty wise idea to do anything inside here. But if I pick a side, I also like to see the buyers win this. I don't know much about the sellers. A huddle, a scrum. Yeah, exactly. I remember we used to do that in high school when it used to rain. Good times, good times. Get all muddy and stuff. Rugby is a real, they say rugby is a gentleman. Rugby is a hooligan sport built for gentlemen, and football is a gentleman sport played by hooligans. Not taking more trades today, but this is going to be a nice move. Buy side for you. It's about to have a break. This is a last break. This is a last break for and then you're gonna have to wait again. Whatever distributes from here, you're gonna have to wait again for the next setup. Holy, this is intense. Some people may be drawing this as a bull flag here. Bull flag here of sorts. I think you got like a small little pattern like that. But we just see it as a consolidation. The heat building up in the console. Them going down, we have space to push up. What football you talking about? The American one or worldwide one? Oh, I was talking about the football, like the worldwide one. Nice way to see volume profile. Let's see what volume profile he is saying. Oh, the sellers have just taken control here, Tom. So we see the seller just make a run for it here below like 39.95. Can they hold this pace? They have finally broken out of that section in the field where it was deadlock. Pure deadlock. Now we're moving down here. Can we keep going? We got 9 seconds till this 1 minute candlestick here closes. Can we keep this momentum up? It's got that 5 minute SMA right there. We just stuck its head out. Just stuck its head out. Can we keep going? What is this gonna be here? Oh, we also got the 15-minute catch-up. Man, this is the most intense play we've seen in a very long time. The 15-minute 8 SMA has finally caught up. But as we know, price is king at the end of the day. Price is king in this sport. Just like in Formula 1, they say cash is king. This is price. Price is king over here. So we gotta see if price respects the break of structure to continue moving down, and these indicators can give way for the price action to continue pushing down, potentially down towards, you know, maybe 30. Let's see how many pips this is right here from this break. We're looking at maybe, you know, can we get like at least 30 pips? 30 pips down towards like 39.92. Fill up some of this range on the left-hand side here. Price is king at the end of the day. We would like to see price continue moving down if it's breaking wicks. That 15-minute SMA needs to give way. 15-minute SMA needs to give way. Looks like we are getting the push that we want to see here. The sellers have taken control of this market. They are pushing price down. They are getting away from that area that was so difficult for them to take before. The buyers don't have it in them to hold 4,000 here at this point. They might just need to give way for the sellers as the sellers are pushing price down over here. I think, you know, the sellers got a few points in their pocket now. This has been a really great standoff here. They're still shy of 30 pips, but I still do believe that can continue pushing, you know, an extra 8 pips over there. They have gotten a few points from that move, about 21 points on the seller side. So that's pretty nice. We got the sellers up now, 21 plus points. Amazing to see. Can we see more? That's the question. Give me more. We want to see more. The stadium wants to see more. We want to see the sellers really disciplined here, the buyers, from this bullish engulfing candlestick that may be a bit over imbalanced. As you can see, it was a massive bullish candlestick there, Tom. It was a massive bullish candlestick. We could have a lot of players in those buys. So this would not be a confident situation for them to be in. They have a lot of range to keep going down. We just saw about 30 pips over here as we get this distribution to the downside. Everybody who missed this trade has to wait for the next ticket until it sets up again. But until then, I wish you guys the best of luck and see you in tomorrow's London session. Holy, we are still moving down over here. Insane play by the sellers. As you can see, the highs were not taken, but the lows were taken, and taken they were. And I will see you tomorrow for Freaky Friday. Hope you guys enjoy the stream. Adios.